Captain America, which is directed by Joe Johnston, who worked on Howard the Duck, but I think most importantly here made The Rocketeer. Do you remember The Rocketeer from ages and ages ago?
Yes.
Yeah, well, there is a connection between both the style and I think the visual design of that film. Anyway, so he also worked on things like Jurassic Park 3, and he most recently did Wolfman. So essentially what you have with Captain America, the First Avenger, is the reinvention of a creaky old character in quite a witty and inventive way. In the film, the story is that your central character, Steve Rogers, played by Chris Evans, although at the beginning of it played only by Chris Evans' head, they need the character to look sort of wimpy and not strong. And the deal is that he wants to go, it's a period piece, he wants to go and fight for his country. Every health check that he has says, I'm sorry, you can't do it because you've got asthma, you've got this, you've got that, you're not the kind of material that we want. And the way they've done that is they've CG'd his head onto a smaller body. And I have to say the CG's done quite well. A lot of people have actually said, oh, well, it doesn't look right at the beginning. I think it's only because you know what he looks like in real life. I thought it was pretty well done. In a Benjamin Button kind of way, I thought it was perfectly good. Anyway, so the deal is he wants to join the army, he can't do. Then along comes Stanley Tucci, who is a scientist, who says, the fact that you are a loser, but you're a plucky loser, and you have a sense, you know what it's like to be on the wrong side, so it actually makes you ideal for my experiment, which is an experiment which will turn you into a Superman. Goes into the experiment, next thing you know, he looks like he's meant to look, he's big, beefcakey, cheesecakey, however you want to do it.
If you're cheesecakey,
it's
a little bit flabby and...
Yeah, no, cheesecake. Well, we've had this argument before, and let's not do it now while President Obama is, even as we speak, warming up in the wings. So he gets turned into this incredibly buff, butch kind of hero, but rather than being allowed to go out and do what it is that he wanted to do, which was to fight for his country, he gets turned into a cartoon character. He gets dressed up in tights with a silly mask and has to parade around raising money for war bonds by being Captain America. Meanwhile, all the troops are laughing at him because he's a ridiculous figure of fun. But what he actually wants to do is genuinely go and fight for his country and genuinely do that stuff. And so through the most convoluted but actually sort of quite well thought out twist of fate, the cartoon character demands to be allowed to go and fight for real and become a real superhero. So somehow they bring together all the threads that there is this character that's a total anachronism and is clearly a goofy cartoon character in the mode of Kick-Ass or something like that. And yet he is going to go out and really fight for his country armed with some super weapons, including his super powerful and indeed trademark shield, his Eclipse.
I took the liberty of coming up with some options. This one's fun. She's been fitted with electrical relays that allow you to...
What about this one?
No, that's just a prototype.
What's it made of?
Vibranium. It's stronger than steel and a third the weight. It's completely vibration absorbent.
How come it's not standard issue?
That's the rarest metal on Earth. What you're holding there, that's all we've got.
You quite finished, Mr. Stark? I'm sure the captain has some unfinished business.
What do you think?
Yes, I think it works.
So sorry, you were looking. I thought that was a dramatic pause.
No, you pick up. If there was a long silence, I thought someone was going to come back with another shot.
No, I thought there was a line after that, but there wasn't. Anyway, so I went into Captain America.
Your instinct was to blame it on me.
Yes, it was,
okay,
as always.
Fair enough.
I went into Captain America with a slightly heavy heart, thinking, oh, here we go, yet another superhero movie, blah, 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 blah. In fact, it's actually much better than one would have expected. As I said, I always liked The Rocketeer, and I quite like the fact that it's got that throwback feel to it, in the same way that I liked Thor, because I thought the thing that Thor had was the right mixture between sort of comic book self-awareness, but also taking itself seriously enough to make the thing work. I thought this was comparable. I thought it had an equal sense of the ridiculousness of the character, but the degree to which you'd have to take the character seriously for the drama to be engaging and for it to work out. It is helped very much by the fact that he's up against, in the bad guys camp, Hugo Weaving being Hugo Weaving, being incredibly, and of course Toby Jones. And Toby Jones is the scientist. Our friend Toby Jones, who has invented this, this piece of equipment which is going to enable. Hugo Weaving is so bad, he's even too bad for the Nazis, right? He's even sort of left the Hitler camp and has gone off on the course of his own madness, and of course underneath his face he's turned it. Do you remember the movie in which the Ridley Scott movie, is it called Legend, with Tim Curry as the devil who looks like a walking tandoori chicken with great big horns?
I don't remember that. No.
Oh well, okay, fine. Well, if you did, that would be a good reference point for what Hugo Weaving's character looks like underneath the apparently human face. Anyway, meanwhile, so he's got him and he's got Toby Jones, who do a terrific job of being the axis of evil who's come up up with this thing that he has to go and fight. So that's great. And all that sort of, and you've got Tommy Lee Jones, of course, as the gruff, army guy who he thinks the whole thing's a put-up job, but on the other hand, he does understand that we do need to use. So you've got a good, solid supporting cast. You've got a script that is intelligently handled. You've got, the usual amount of special effects and battling, and believe me, this 2D is the thing that you need to see this film in. And it's not groundbreaking in any ways. And it is also true that if you had your cynical head on, you could say that the whole thing was simply a setup point for the sequels and the consequent tie-ins, because obviously it's part of a series. But actually, for what it is not bad at all. And I enjoyed it much more than I thought I'd done. I am aware of the idea of going into something with low expectations and being surprised, as opposed to going in with high expectations and being disappointed. But having gone in with low expectations, I thought it was a much better film than I'd expected. I enjoyed it. I wasn't bored. I thought that it was, visually arresting, and I also thought that it would work, across a range of ages in the same way that Thor did. The only thing I'd say is, if you thought Thor was Philly, you're going to think Captain America is Phillier still, but they're a good double bill.